Stephen A. Smith is well known for his controversial opinions, but this time he might have crossed a line. In a now viral clip, he is seen sparring with LeBron James after criticizing Bronny's abilities and taking a jab at Kobe Bryant's legacy. The incident has left fans torn. Was Smith simply doing his job, or did he go too far by disrespecting LeBron's family? It's up to you to decide. Check out the footage that has everyone buzzing. The showdown. March 6th, 2024. The Knicks faced off against the Lakers, but let's be real. The basketball game wasn't the center of attention. All eyes were on the sidelines, where LeBron and Smith were locked in a fiery exchange. Within a matter of minutes, the video had spread everywhere, sparking endless discussions among fans. Wasting no time and unwilling to let the issue fester, Smith chose to address the situation the following day on ESPN's First Take. Clearly frustrated by the way events unfolded, he openly criticized James for confronting him in a public forum rather than handling the matter privately. For the record, he stated, Rich Paul, his agent and friend, has my number. Maverick Carter, who works closely with him, has my number. If LeBron James had wanted to reach out, he knows exactly how to contact me. He never did. From Smith's perspective, the misunderstanding was straightforward. His remarks were never about questioning Bronny's talent, but about the immense pressure tied to being LeBron's son under the scrutiny of the NBA spotlight. However, did LeBron interpret it the same way? No way. When that courtside incident occurred, Smith realized he needed to choose his fight wisely. It took place in the third quarter, right after a timeout. He was making his way onto the court. It was being broadcast live across the nation. The cameras were capturing everything. And if I had reacted, what did you expect me to do? You wanted me to put on a show? Turn this into some kind of Chris Rock and Will Smith moment all over again? Fair enough. Now here's where it starts to get intriguing. If that guy had laid a hand on me, I wouldn't have hesitated. I would have swung at him right away. No question about it. That's a boundary I refuse to let anyone cross. You heard that correctly. Smith made it clear that if LeBron had so much as touched him, the outcome would have been drastically different. Now, before you imagine Smith going toe-to-toe with a 6'9", 250-pound NBA giant, even Smith himself acknowledged how that story would have wrapped up. I'd have gotten my butt hooped, he chuckled, though he was sure LeBron wouldn't take it to that level. So, what was the point of the statement? Smith is adamant about making it clear that he's unbothered. He refuses to retreat, and he's certain that LeBron isn't being honest. On national TV yesterday, LeBron James delivered statements that Smith claims were filled with deceit. According to Smith, LeBron was deliberately misleading the public, crafting a skewed story to cast himself as the victim. In no uncertain terms, Smith declared that LeBron is not truthful. He bluntly accused him of taking his comments out of context, twisting them to make it seem like he was targeting Bronny personally. In contrast, Smith insisted his remarks were merely raising concerns about whether Bronny could handle the pressures of playing in the NBA. The problem for me was never Bronny. It was always LeBron, Smith emphasized. He proceeded to take aim at LeBron's demeanor, labeling him as disingenuous. He criticized traits like being passive-aggressive, two-faced, smiling in someone's presence while gossiping about them behind their back. I know this about him, Smith stated, and that's why we don't see eye to eye. He dislikes me as much as I dislike him. Ultimately, Smith declared that he would keep speaking the truth as he viewed it. In this situation, only one person is being honest, and that's me, he claimed. But he didn't stop there. After discussing the matter on his ESPN program, Smith upped the ante by addressing it directly during his appearance on the Gil's Arena podcast on March 11th. He escalated things further, labeling the confrontation as feeble and spouting nonsense. In his account, he was just sitting courtside, keeping to himself. Then out of nowhere, during the third quarter of a nationally broadcast game, LeBron was suddenly up close and personal. I turned my head, and there he is, right in my face, he recounted. LeBron supposedly said, "You need to stop bringing up my son. Quit talking about my son. That's my family." Confused, he responded, "What are you talking about?" LeBron continued, but he said, "Let's discuss this later. You need to stop involving my son." I told him, but his response was vague, and then he walked away. For several days, LeBron James refrained from addressing the situation, leaving the media buzz to continue unchecked. Eventually, however, he broke his silence during an appearance on ESPN's The Pat McAfee Show. During the show, LeBron conveyed a straightforward message. He's fine with criticism of his performance on the court, but his family is a different matter entirely. For LeBron, boundaries have been crossed in the way his son, Bronny James, now the Lakers' latest draft pick, was being covered in the media. LeBron didn't stop there. He took things further by likening Smith's frequent media appearances to a Taylor Swift tour. And if you haven't noticed, Taylor Swift is currently dominating the spotlight everywhere. Concerts, interviews, big news stories, and LeBron's reaction. Smith seems to be riding the wave, bouncing from event to event, seizing the spotlight every chance he gets. But is that such a bad thing? Since the release of that video, Smith has been openly discussing it frequently. LeBron, however, was not amused. He openly criticized Smith and even mocked his style of speaking. LeBron began by saying, "I wasn't planning to respond. I didn't intend to comment on this." Yet, once the clip surfaced, he felt compelled to speak up, and he didn't hold back. Are you serious right now? If there's anyone who couldn't hold out for the video release, It's absolutely you, isn't it? He wasn't falling for Smith's performance. This wasn't some hesitant reaction. Smith had likely been anticipating this moment all along, probably refreshing his screen non-stop, eagerly watching the clock until the clip went live so he could pounce. And LeBron? Oh, he wasn't finished yet. He left no doubts. This was all about chasing the spotlight. Fame. He'd be grinning from ear to ear. He implied that Smith was thoroughly relishing the attention. Then, he reinforced the idea by painting a striking picture. Oh my goodness. He's gonna head home, grab some ice cream from his freezer, sit back in his chair wearing nothing but his tidy whities, and lounge on the couch. LeBron, however, wasn't just angry. He was irritated that the real purpose behind their argument had been overshadowed by the surrounding chatter. His frustration wasn't about shutting down critics or sports commentators. I would never stop people from discussing the game or critiquing players for their performance on the court. That's your job, to analyze and call it out when someone isn't delivering. That's simply part of the sport. Keep in mind, Smith had previously claimed he'd throw a punch at LeBron if their disagreement escalated to physical blows. LeBron caught wind of that and decided to clap back on Instagram in his own playful way. On March 28th, he shared a throwback video of Smith attempting a boxing workout. Let's just say it wasn't exactly the kind of footage you'd include in a highlight reel. The clip featured Smith throwing some rather clumsy punches, far from looking fearsome. To top it off, LeBron accompanied the post with 14 laughing crying emojis and a caption that read, "Womp, womp, womp." Translation: you come at me with those punches? Best of luck, man. The next morning on ESPN's First Take, Smith addressed the post, admitting the video didn't show him in the best light, though he also offered up an explanation. Boxing and all that nonsense from 10 years ago with worn-out two-tone rotator cuffs? Sure, no issue. It's undeniably a cringe-worthy video. I'll be the first to admit it. That said, I prefer to stay out there, because if people watch it and assume that's how I throw punches, fine by me. Believe what you want. The truth is, I'm at peace with it now. I'm fully aware the person I am today is a far cry from who I was a decade back. He even emphasized that he's in much better condition these days, but let's face it, LeBron already won this matchup. Social media erupted after the courtside incident, particularly when LeBron's Instagram jab garnered nearly 2 million likes. Known for being calm under pressure, LeBron found himself going head-to-head with Stephen A. Smith, who went as far as to say he'd throw hands on the spot if it escalated. But the real mystery remains. What actually drove LeBron to reach this boiling point? What could possibly lead him, of all people, to break character on such a massive stage? This ongoing tension between LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith didn't simply materialize overnight. It was the culmination of mounting friction. It had been simmering for a while, fueled by heated remarks, sharp critiques, and some personal digs that strayed far beyond the topic of basketball. So, what exactly triggered the clash? From the outset, Stephen A. Smith hadn't been shy about voicing his opinion on Bronny James and his likelihood of joining the NBA. When the Lakers selected Bronny as the 55th pick in the 2024 draft, it marked an unforgettable moment in history. A father and son duo playing in the NBA simultaneously. While many celebrated the achievement, others viewed it less as a milestone and more as a controversy. Smith openly stated what many were quietly speculating. Bronny's place in the league was due to his father's influence. That jab was all it took, and anyone familiar with LeBron knows he wasn't about to let it slide. LeBron's reaction was pure protective father energy. He emphasized that statistics don't paint the full picture, stating, "As a dad, it doesn't matter to me if he never scores a point. What matters is that I'm incredibly proud of him as a young man, period." But he didn't stop with just that sentiment. He highlighted the tremendous effort Bronny has poured into the game since entering the draft and acknowledged how much progress he's made, adding, "I've witnessed the dedication he's shown at basketball, and I'm extremely proud of how far he's come." However, Smith held firm in his opinion. While agreeing that the father-son moment was memorable, drawing comparisons to the Griffeys in baseball, he maintained his argument that Bronny simply wasn't quite ready for NBA minutes yet, despite the significance of that debut. However, Smith argued that Bronny should first demonstrate his abilities in the G League rather than being hurried into the NBA, suggesting the young athlete might not yet be prepared and could falter under immense pressure. In a rare display of concern beneath his typically hard-edged commentary, Smith highlighted the difficulties of carving out a path under the immense legacy of LeBron James. He also noted that countless other young players boasting superior statistics dream tirelessly of making it to the NBA. Though Smith acknowledged Bronny's potential, he expressed skepticism about whether the young player was ready to earn playing time in the opening moments of games. LeBron, on the other hand, held a contrasting perspective. For him, the situation transcended basketball. It was about family, legacy, and offering his son an equal chance to thrive like anyone else. Having witnessed Bronny's dedication, gradual improvement, and hard work firsthand, LeBron believed the numbers would naturally improve over time. What truly unsettled him were the doubts cast on whether Bronny deserved his place. Yet, Smith made it clear, this wasn't about personal feelings. The issue boiled down to fairness. He was upset by what he perceived as preferential treatment and a reluctance to address situations honestly. Why do we have to sugarcoat everything before making a point? He vented. Do we need to handle their laundry first? Give them a spa day before saying they played like garbage? His irritation was undeniable. To him, he was simply stating the truth. If the stats indicated that Bronny wasn't ready, someone had to point it out. This was the root of the disagreement. LeBron had faith in his son's abilities and was determined to support him at every turn. Smith argued that the support Bronny was receiving might actually be stalling his ability to grow his game away from the pressures of the NBA's glaring spotlight. Both sides had legitimate arguments, which fueled the intensity of their heated exchange. LeBron perceived the remarks as an affront to his family, while Smith stood his ground, asserting he was simply fulfilling his role as an analyst. He could have stayed focused, sticking to evaluating stats, analyzing performances, and discussing basketball. However, he veered off course, pulling LeBron into an unrelated narrative, which is when the discussion took a chaotic turn. What began as a conversation about Bronny's NBA prospects took an unexpected detour when Smith brought up two subjects completely unrelated to the topic: Kobe Bryant's memorial and Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction. During ESPN's First Take, Smith delivered the jarring statement, "I suggest he count himself fortunate for the things I haven't mentioned. I never truly addressed or delved into the reasons why you were absent from Kobe Bryant's memorial service. Nor did I really discuss why you skipped Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame ceremony, even though that man was instrumental in helping you win your first championship." Let's stop there for a moment. This wasn't just an unfair jab. It was simply incorrect. LeBron did attend the memorial. Both the Los Angeles Times and the Washington Post verified his presence. The only reason he wasn't captured all over the media, he intentionally stayed under the radar as a sign of respect for Kobe and his loved ones. He didn't want any attention on himself. He wanted the focus to remain on the legend the world had come together to honor. One of the reasons LeBron was absent from Wade's induction ceremony was because his son, Bronny, had experienced a cardiac arrest just weeks earlier. LeBron chose to stay home and prioritize his role as a father, ensuring his son's well-being. Despite this, Smith decided to throw that detail into the mix, framing it in a way that made it seem like incriminating information. Once the backlash began to grow, Smith hurried to justify himself. Mere hours after the episode aired, he took to X to clarify that it wasn't his primary intention. But if that's the case, why bring it up in the first place? This raises a larger question. Was it an honest misstep, or was it a calculated move intended to stir attention? A tactic designed to keep the spotlight on him and social media buzzing. Let's face it, Smith understood how to play the game. He's one of the leading figures in sports media, wielding influence that reaches millions when he speaks. Rather than focusing on the actual discussion about Bronny's potential in the NBA, he decided to delve into LeBron's personal matters. Even more troubling is the fact that he was fully aware these were delicate subjects. The untimely passing of Kobe Bryant was a devastating loss that shook the entire basketball community. Meanwhile, Bronny's heart condition was an intensely private family ordeal. To weaponize those events in a personal conflict is indefensible, regardless of how one tries to justify it. Still, despite crossing such a boundary, Smith retained his base of supporters. Some defended him, saying his role was to provide unfiltered honesty, not to prioritize politeness, and claimed that LeBron's stature shouldn't place Bronny beyond scrutiny. While many treated the discussion seriously, debating the ethics of respect in sports, others turned it into a source of humor, spawning memes across social media platforms. Jake Paul, known both as a professional boxer and one of YouTube's top-earning creators, didn't hesitate to jump into the controversy. In a tweet that has since been deleted, he posted a spoof fight poster featuring LeBron and Smith, even stirring up chatter about a potential boxing match. Reactions from fans poured in quickly. While some dismissed it as a joke, others seriously entertained the idea, claiming LeBron's physical prowess and athletic skill would make the fight incredibly one-sided. "LeBron's athleticism is on another level. This wouldn't end well," a fan commented. Others took a more mocking tone, with one user quipping, "Smith wouldn't stand a chance. LeBron's grandma could take him down." Meanwhile, Damon Feldman, the brain behind celebrity boxing, reportedly saw potential to make this match a reality and had already begun reaching out to possible investors to back the event. Whether his intentions were genuine or merely an attempt to grab attention, the mere fact that this was a topic of discussion highlights just how significant the controversy had grown. Some people relished the drama, while others believed it pointed to a bigger problem. One fan expressed it plainly: "The media is being silenced for speaking honestly, so action is necessary." Bronny isn't cut out for the NBA, and he's occupying a spot that belongs to someone who truly deserved it. This captured the core of Smith's argument. Despite all the buzz around him, Bronny James simply doesn't have what it takes for the NBA. Without his father's influence, he wouldn't have been drafted. For many, this wasn't seen as an attack, but rather an acknowledgement of reality. If Bronny wasn't prepared to face this level of scrutiny, perhaps he wasn't cut out for the league, plain and simple. As for the latest updates about me, I've officially signed a substantial contract extension with ESPN, the premier sports media giant. Smith, known for his outspoken, brash, and provocative nature, had built his reputation on exactly that approach. Recently, ESPN locked him into a highly lucrative deal, aligning with their apparent focus on social media buzz and viral content over detailed basketball analysis. This might explain why Smith chose to zero in on LeBron's parenting style. However, beyond Smith's motives, fans highlighted an important aspect. LeBron had consistently shared his aspiration of one day playing professionally alongside his son. He had spoken about this for years, even before Bronny reached the college stage. When he entered free agency, the message couldn't have been clearer. Whichever team secured Bronny would also gain LeBron. The Lakers stepped up and made that call. Now, Bronny is navigating the pressures of life in the NBA, grappling with extraordinary scrutiny. Yet, for some fans, there's a deeper emotional layer to consider. Just 2 years ago, Bronny went into cardiac arrest and had to be revived, a harrowing ordeal no parent should face. To many, LeBron's decision to stay near his son transcends the game itself. It's about treasuring each moment after coming so close to losing him. LeBron has also spoken openly about his own childhood, growing up without a father. This could have heightened his sensitivity to being labeled as a bad father. In his view, as well as in the eyes of many rational observers, he wasn't falling short in his role as a parent. In fact, he was excelling at it. Yet, not everyone was convinced by that perspective. Critics argued that if LeBron's primary goal was to spend more time with his son, he could have arranged for Bronny to accompany the team without occupying a valuable roster spot. Realistically, it's doubtful the Lakers, or any franchise for that matter, would have opposed such arrangement. And let's face it, Bronny wasn't exactly in dire need of an NBA salary. As frustrating as it was for some to acknowledge, Stephen A. Smith's argument carried weight. Still, it wasn't the debate itself that caused the uproar. It was LeBron's response that stirred the pot. He typically steered clear of engaging with media drama, understanding that responding often only amplifies their visibility. However, this time, he fired back strongly. For some, it seemed like he was finally addressing a sports media landscape that prioritizes theatrics over the actual sport. And he wasn't alone in thinking that. Michelle Beadle, a former ESPN host, openly expressed her dissatisfaction. To her, the entire LeBron Smith episode came across as more of a scripted feud than a genuine conflict. Honestly, this feels like something straight out of WWE, Beadle remarked. She questioned whether the situation was authentic or just another tactic to maintain attention. Additionally, she criticized ESPN's fixation on LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, calling their coverage repetitive and tiresome. Seasoned sports journalist Michael Wilbon, widely regarded as one of the most authoritative figures in sports media, shared his perspective on the matter. After decades of reporting on athletes across a variety of sports, he found the controversy to be overblown. Wilbon couldn't understand why LeBron, known for being exceptionally professional and accommodating with the media, was even engaging in this dispute. In his view, LeBron had always stood out for his patience with journalists, taking the time to consider questions thoughtfully and respond with care. Unlike some other high-profile athletes who were frequently combative, LeBron had built a reputation for being one of the most media-savvy figures in sports. Wilbon dismissed the incident as nonsense and criticized both sides for letting their egos take over. LeBron and Smith are grown men. They can hash it out. I have zero interest in entertaining their feud, Wilbon remarked. I'm getting calls about this, and I'm honestly not interested. There's too much pride and stubbornness at play on both ends of this debate. Honestly, I couldn't care less about the nonsense surrounding it. Beneath all the media hype and heated fan discussions, one fundamental question emerges. Does Bronny James genuinely merit a shot in the NBA? Let's delve into his path so far, analyze his abilities, and consider whether he's truly cut out for the professional stage or simply benefiting from a famous last name. Rising star or product of nepotism? While LeBron James has already cemented his legacy in the sport of basketball, the story of his son, Bronny, is only getting started. Together, they've already set a new benchmark as the highest-scoring father-son combo in league history. However, with Bronny contributing a modest 4 points out of their collective total of over 40,000, it's evident he still has a long road ahead. Nevertheless, despite the skepticism surrounding him, Bronny has displayed moments of potential. In 11 games with the G League, he's posted averages of 21.9 points, 5.3 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and 1.9 steals per game, shooting an impressive 44.3% from the floor and 38% from beyond the arc. As per data from X, among G League players aged 20 or younger who have participated in at least 5 games, Bronny stands out as a top performer. He leads in points per game, assists, and steals, ranks second in defensive rating, and is third in true shooting percentage. Recently, he showcased his skills by scoring an impressive 39 points against the Santa Cruz Warriors, further cementing his potential. Despite limited action with the Lakers in the NBA, Bronny has thrived while competing in the G League. His consistent growth and standout displays have attracted significant attention. Even NBA icons have acknowledged his talent, offering glowing endorsements of his future. Carmelo Anthony weighed in during the 7 p.m. in Brooklyn show, stating, "In a couple of years, Bronny is going to be a legitimate NBA player, solid for real. He looks great, Pete. He really does. He's composed out there." Kevin Garnett shared his thoughts on May 23, 2024 via X. "Man, I had the chance to watch Bronny at the Combine, and he absolutely impressed me," he said. "He's got a solid foundation to work with, incredible talent, and greatness runs in his bloodline. If he keeps pushing forward, he'll have a real shot in the league." This progress can be traced back to a calculated decision by the Lakers organization to assign Bronny to the G League South Bay Lakers. There, he was able to secure more playing time and boost his confidence, which has clearly paid dividends. Even Charles Barkley, who previously questioned Bronny's pathway to the NBA, admitted the move was a smart one. "I wish him all the success in the world," Barkley commented. "The G League is where he can develop as a player." It was a great narrative for LeBron and Bronny to team up, but sitting on the bench doesn't help him grow. Even Smith had positive remarks about Bronny's performance in the G League. "Let me be clear, I'm not here to claim he won't be prepared. I'm not saying he lacks what it takes to make it to the NBA. I'm definitely not suggesting he should abandon his dreams and goals. In my opinion, the kid has talent. I believe he's going to earn a spot in the NBA eventually. I watched him showcase his skills in the G League, and I think, in time, he'll do well. However, that time hasn't come just yet. Still, despite how well he's done in the G League, the debate over nepotism lingers. Many critics insist that if not for his family name, Bronny wouldn't have the same path to the NBA. Some argue that he was nothing more than an average backup on a mediocre college team. If his name were Bronny Smith instead of Bronny James, he might still be working toward a degree in college right now. Even on his USC roster, DJ Rodman, Dennis Rodman's son, was arguably the superior player. However, since Dennis Rodman doesn't wield the same level of influence as LeBron James, DJ didn't receive the same opportunities. This has sparked a larger discussion about nepotism within the NBA. Former ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski weighed in on the topic during the NBA draft, offering his perspective on the criticism surrounding Bronny. "I don't want to hear about nepotism," he said. "Nepotism is everywhere in the NBA, among owners, front offices, and coaching staffs. But now that it involves Bronny James, it's suddenly a problem?" Adrian raised a valid point. The NBA has witnessed numerous second-generation athletes over the years, such as Stephen and Del Curry, Kenyon and KJ Martin, Gary Payton and Gary Payton II, Kobe and Joe Bryant, as well as Jalen and Rick Brunson. However, in most of these cases, the sons entered the league well after their fathers had retired. Ultimately, the discussion surrounding Bronny James extended beyond his abilities on the court. It tied into the broader topic of nepotism in professional basketball. While his famous surname certainly provided him opportunities, his performances in the G League indicated that he had the potential to make his own mark. The pressing question now was whether he could transform that promise into a sustainable career in the NBA. If you like this video, feel free to click on any of the cards displayed on your screen to explore more content.